Hello and welcome back to yet another iteration of my Milestone 3 project. So I'll basically be going over what improvements I've made to my website for my CST-120 Intro to Web Development class. So let's go ahead and get this organized and check things out. So basically, if we take a look at our sitemap, it'll be very simple. We have a home page. From the home page, we can go to an About Me page. And from the About Me page, the only way to return is right back to the home page. We can also go to a projects.html, and you can only go back to a home page from there. And then we can go to a photos HTML page, which only goes back to the home page. And finally, we have a animations page which only returns back to the home page. So this is our main page, and it connects to 4 different website pages. Now if you go ahead and pull up the actual website, this is what it's going to be looking like, and this is pretty much the home page. If you compare it to the wireframe, we have a page title, 4 links, and a end of web page text, and this is exactly what we see here. So not much has changed on here except that I got rid of quick links, which was during the previous milestones, and I just put in projects and animation studio. So let's pull up the actual code now. So here's the code for the HTML page. As you can see, everything's pretty much the same except for the 2 new links I put within the child nodes. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this part right here. Next, if you go ahead and go to the first link, which is About Me, we'll see that the only change I made is I made these video embeds smaller. And the way I did that is if you go to the About Me page, as you can see, this part right here, I made a class called video, which is also listed right here for both video embeds. And if you check out the CSS, we can go down here. We can see this is where the end of milestone 2 update ended and the start of milestone 3. And I only created a video tag with a width of 45% and a height of 200 pixels. That way, everything on this screen can be displayed. And if you take a look at the wireframe to the left side over here, follows the exact page title, title 1, random text, the embeds, a button at the bottom, return link, back to homepage, which we'll click right now. As far as the photos goes, I didn't do any changes to this. This is still pretty much the same as milestone 2. I've mostly worked on the projects and animations page this time, so we'll just go right back, but we'll quickly see like the wireframe is still the exact same. I just removed like all the H1s and stuff from the actual wireframe, just made it more simplified. So now we're going to get into the actual breadth of what we worked on. So let's check out projects. Now if you look at the wireframe first, we'll see that we have a page title. Then we have a list of drop downs, and the first drop down is open, which pretty much every other drop down will look like. But what I did is I decided to reduce the number of items that were here because I couldn't fill in all the information. So the wireframe is kind of outdated, but eventually in the future I will add a bunch of drop downs, so I just figured might as well leave it because I'm gonna add more drop downs anyways. But if you go ahead and click this first part, as we see when we scroll over, we have an animation where it just a hover animation where it just centers the text pretty much and just adds a background color of black. So I randomly clicked this one by accident, but as we can see, it opens up drop down. We have a description of what's going on, and then we have another hover animation where you see the photo, but if you hover over it, it zooms in on the photo, and then once you move off of it, it goes back to a regular size. From here you can click links too. As you can see, we're directed to the source code for this project I made in a new tab because it opened with the attribute target blank. So I'll just close out of this. And furthermore, we can see that when you're not hovering over the actual element, it just kind of goes transparent and it moves stuff to the side so you can see the background image, which I believe is the pillars of creation image space from Hubble. But as you can see, the hovering effect is still here. We'll check out a couple other ones to make sure they work properly. Close this. We'll check out days between dates. Once again, another caption, another link to the source code, and another size increase right here. I'll go ahead and make this full screen too so you can kind of see. I'll go ahead and close this. Here's this one as well. When we open it, it kind of makes it full screen. And then here's the text. Click here, you can go to a new tabbed link. And then we'll just go back real quickly. Just fix my camera up a little bit. And yeah, so this is pretty much the animation I made for this, and obviously you could go through and check it out and read it, what we got going on. First thing we'll do is we'll check out the actual source code right here. So here's the every item is placed within a nav bar. When I was creating this, I was going a different direction with it, but I just nav barred it and put a bunch of detail tags in here. As you can see, this is the first detail tag, which is pretty much the full drop down. And then we have the image that's displayed in here. And we also have a P tag right here, which is has a class called description to format the text that we see. And then we have an anchor tag directing us to whatever link I have within that drop down. And all of it is within a section. I think this should be class equals drop down text. I'm not sure why that's not listed like that, or it could have been ID. I'll go ahead and do ID instead. And then as you can see, we have the battleship section right here, the details, but this one is a block quote. But block quote or P tag, it really doesn't matter. It's still pretty much the same class attached to it, so the same formatting will be applied. We have the image, then we have the anchor tag at the bottom. And this pattern just kind of repeats itself for all the other drop down boxes as well. So I'll just go to the end and we can see a return link, which is at the bottom, and that's pretty much it. And then if you look at the CSS over here, all of the CSS is just in a external style sheet that I made. So obviously I give it some body formatting. This is for another page because I have two pages connected to the external CSS, animations and projects. But I have anchor tag formatting. I'll zoom in a little bit. We have formatting for H1s, formatting and border, the color for the horizontal lines. The summary, which is the actual drop down. As you can see, I gave it some padding and just some size formatting. A nav bar background, so the picture you see in the back of this div or nav bar is pretty much the images right here. I obviously gave it no repeat, centered this image and made it cover the entire span of the nav bar element. Then we have the actual elements within the nav bar. As you can see, we have the border colors. As you can see, the border colors here and here, that's what's affected the background black. When we actually click into it, the whole reason it's black back here is because of this background back here. And the opacity is messed with right here. So the opacity, as you can see, we're not hovering over this element. We're not hovering over it anymore, and everything's kind of to the left and it's transparent. But when we do the hover element over here, what I do is the opacity, I make it full again so it won't be transparent. You know, I center the text, so it's part of the animation. I changed the cursor, and I did this filter brightness, but I'm not quite sure if it's working the way I wanted to, but it's alright. And then I had an animation attached to it, but as you can see, I'm not using it right now. Then I have just some elements which are padded. In this case, it happens to be section, but you know, I changed it a lot. Obviously we have the border ID. Then I just have some IDs to kind of do some aligning. This is drop down text hover, so when you hover over, which is actually not being used right now, so I can actually comment this out because it's actually not being used. And then we have an image cover, which is the actual image you see in here before the hovering effect. That 25 by 25 view width is why it looks that size, and then we have the image.hover for it increases the size of the image once we hover over the image. This is what this tag does, image cover hover. Then we have the summary hover, which once you hover over the summary, it makes the background color black. As you can see, we're hovering over the summary tag and the background goes black and the color of the actual text is light green. Then this is the description, which is the formatting for the descriptions below. Obviously we have a formatting for the return link. And then this part, everything below here is used within the animations tab. So let's go ahead and move over to the animations tab. So this whole section is fixed up, but just to show you, the wireframe, it does follow that. And if you click the return link, we'll go right back to the home page, which I'll click right now. Back at the home page, we go to Animation Studios, which is the fourth link. If you look at the wireframe, we go here, we're in the animations tab. Now the wireframe, it shows 3 by 3 and then 1 on the bottom, but here it shows 2. That's because obviously it's a responsive website. So if you zoom in, as you can see, we have 3 GIFs and then we have the GIF on the bottom. Now I know this isn't actually animations, it's just GIFs, but the actual animated part is right here, is the captions, which are blinking, which is following a keyframe, which if you look on the side right here, here's the keyframe. And then Dragon Ball Z ID is pretty much this text up here, and it's just has the animation attached, the duration, and infinite number of iterations, some font size, some centering, and such and such. And then even the animation captions within these boxes. Let me go back to this size right here. We can see that all of them have captions up here in the corner. Zoom in. As you can see, it's a pretty responsive website. And here's the captions that I was trying to highlight. So go back a little bit. So obviously I gave it a canvas border. This was like the images in the back and stuff. Obviously there's pictures there, and the reason there's pictures there is because I just decided to if you go check out the code and animations, save that, go here. I'm gonna look at the code. Obviously we have the page title, we have the Dragon Ball Z title, and then here's where we use a flex box. So here's the actual start of the flex box, and it goes all the way about down here. At the end there's a return link. But if you start dissecting the flex box, we can see that I used display flex. I did the flex wrap, and I justified the content with space around. So this space in between here is due to that justify content space around. So here's the first animation for Goku, which is in a div. I give the background image directly within an inline style. Oh, whoops, went too far down. And then obviously it has a class for white font. I'm not sure what that class is at this moment. I might have deleted it, and I believe I did delete that. It's still connected, but I'm not going to change it right now. The reason there's no white font anymore is because obviously I changed it into a blinking animation. So there's really no point for this. I mean, I can delete it, but I'm just not going to worry about it right now. And then I have other ones, animation box size. That's the main things. The bordering is due to the animation box size. Animation set, pretty much, if you look at the CSS for this, animation set is basically the background imaging. So the cover, background size, cover, background position, center, and background repeat, no repeat. Go back down a little bit. And yeah, so animation set and canvas color. Canvas color is without the picture being shown, but obviously if there was no picture, it would just be an indigo colored canvas. But yeah, this is pretty much going through all the first 6 are within the animated box size, but the last one I just threw in. As you can see, it's a little more wider than the other boxes, but that's because it's just implemented as an image, and I just threw on the canvas border class tag, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'm sorry I went kind of over the time limit by a lot. I try to be pretty thorough and in-depth with this. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and peace out.